Have you ever drove through Atlanta's Old Fourth Ward? Well, if you have, then you've been in a food desert. One New Humanity Community Development Corporation defines the food desert as, quote, a lack of healthy, affordable food, end quote, but it's also known as, quote, a lack of access to nutritious food, end quote. And that could be either because it's geographically far, it's out of one's price range, or simply because the option doesn't exist. Food deserts can occur in both urban and rural areas, and about 11 to 27% of Americans are affected or live in a food desert, according to CDC estimates. And according to various studies in the American Journal of Public Health and the Journal of the American Heart Association, this is not good, especially for communities of color and other disadvantaged communities which have lower social determinants of health already. So food deserts are linked to an increased risk for chronic diseases like obesity, heart disease, heart attacks, strokes, fatty liver, and a myriad of other health consequences. It leads to increased healthcare and transportation costs, which once again can negatively impact somebody's social determinants of health, both on an individual and a community scale. Now, in urban areas, this is extremely challenging because of the lack of space, and now in a lot of urban areas, especially in the Sun Belt, there's a rapid growth that has also made this problem uniquely challenging. The photo you can see below is a photo of Boulevard Next, which is a new development which developers say will have a grocery store, so that will help solve some of the food desert problems, but we'll talk more about this later. So to first zone something, you have to have the proper authority. Georgia's Constitution authorizes cities and counties essentially under home rule with a pretty broad degree of authority of self-governance. While there are some Dillon Rule elements that the legislature does have as far as oversights, particularly more with counties, both cities and counties have common public health powers and zoning powers associated with state police powers under the 10th Amendment. So both have the authority to actually go out and rezone and create what's called overlay zone districts or overlay districts. So overlay districts are geographical zoning regulations that are placed on an existing zoning lot or a zoned area to address specific issues or community-specific problems. In Atlanta, we have this already in the Beltline, in Chapter 36 of City Ordinances, and we already have the existing legal framework that is authorized under the state constitution. While there are a lot of potential solutions like private partnerships or public-private co-op agreements, Philadelphia has actually seen a lot of success using overlay districts to enable urban agriculture. And over a 3-year period, around 2006 to 2009, when they really started this, there's about 60,000 pounds of food that was distributed to around 18,000 people over that 3-year period, and another 12 to 18,000 pounds of food donated. And participants in those community gardens and in those urban agriculture programs saw about $700 saved per household annually on grocery costs. Of course, this strengthened the social safety net and civic participation, and also allowed families and individuals to improve their social determinants of health on an individual and family unit basis. While $700 might seem small to some, as studiers and researchers within the Journal of Agriculture, Food Systems, and Community Development noted, most of these families in Philadelphia were low-income families, so $700 went a long way. But there were some limitations. The 18,000 people I mentioned that were fed, they only came from about 1,000 households, so there's more to be done. But as far as implementation for a city, for example, like Atlanta, it would be pretty easy, especially since the city of Atlanta already has authorization from the state constitution, and it has legal architecture already built in with the Beltline Overlay District. So it wouldn't take much to go in and change and edit some things to make that possible for a city like Atlanta. Of course, there's more studies and work to be done, but this might be a good step in the Old Fourth Ward or other historic neighborhoods like in Atlanta, which have been historically underserved by the government and social safety systems. And all it takes is a simple zoning change through an overlay district.